Leadership Academy, India's top coaching institution for civil services preparation. Join us online to get most enriching experience from best faculty with excellent notes and specially designed courses. To join the batch, download Nandipayas Academy app from Google Play Store. For more information, contact 9511 280 465.
Hello everybody, welcome you all again. We are going to continue with our last session. We already started with Karl Marx. That is the fourth chapter or the A subsection, which is for Karl Marx. And we just entered into the simple discussion about historical materialism. As that was the first concept or the first syllabus topic, historical materialism, we have already finished with part 1 in the last session. That part 1 was regarding the basics of the historical materialism or the basic concepts or the background concepts we needed to be studied for the understanding of the historical concept, historical materialism as a theory. So, which concepts or which technical terminologies we discussed about? We discussed about first of all, the process of production. Why do we need or why we involve ourselves into production process? For survival. With which tools or with which techniques we produce is called as nothing but the factors of production. As we are involving ourselves into the production process, we automatically get involved ourselves into the relations of production, which are of two types. That are man to man, man to thing. Man to man is about haves and have-nots. Man to thing is about the ownership on that produce. The relations of production gives rise to two important concepts that is called as the antagonistic cooperation and alienation. According to Marx, these two concepts, that is factors of production and relationships of production, are the two defining terminologies or the concepts which are at the foundation of any society. As the production process is the core of the all activities in the society. Production involves factors and relations. Okay? Okay, we'll make it simple, don't worry. What is the most core of the social activity according to Marx? The most core of the social activities is nothing but the production process. Because the very survival of the man is dependent on production. If the man won't produce, he won't survive. And if man won't survive, society won't. The survival of the society, like the man, is dependent on the production process. And that's how the process of production is at the very foundation of the survival of the society or society itself. Society exists because there is production. Society continues because there is production. These opinions are of the Marx, of course. Why society continues or exists? Because there is production. And at the core of the production process, there are two important terms. These are called as the factors of production and relationships of production. What is at the core of the production process? It is the factors and the relations of production. These are at the core of the production process. According to Marx, the factors and the relations of production together are called as the infrastructural terminologies. By the way, a society has, according to Marx, let's for example take it as a society. Okay, this is society. and this part of society is foundation. Just like we have buildings, for example, this is a home, okay, and this is ground level of the home. Okay, this is house or house which is constructed above the ground, and this is the ground level of the house. Okay, this is the ground level, but the original structure or the complete structure of this house is underlying beneath the ground also. Let's say, for example, there are footings, right? The foundation and everything, all these structure is present under the house, on which the house rests. This foundation, this infra, that is infrastructure, that what is not visible or below the ground is called as the infrastructure, and this is called as superstructure. This is general understanding of infrastructure and superstructure. Infra and super. The superstructure rests and relies on the infrastructure. Infrastructure is the foundation, supporting system on which the society continues. The same idea Marx applied in terms of society. For example, this is society. Okay. So to resemble with the house, this is society. According to Marx, the same society, just like the house, the constructed house, has two important structures. These are called as infrastructure and superstructure. According to Marx, this is infrastructure, and the structures which are visible are superstructures. We'll discuss on them. We'll discuss about what they are. This is infrastructure and this is superstructure according to Karl Marx. First we'll discuss about infrastructure. According to Karl Marx, the factors of production and relationships of production are at the core of the infrastructure, or they are the part of the infrastructure. As we have discussed, the production process is the most basic activity required for survival of the society. Just like the foundation in case of the house, it is the production process. It is the production process which lies at the infrastructure level, right? And at the core of the production process, the two terms or the two basic ideas, that is the factors of production and relation to production, are there. And that's how, according to Marx, the infrastructure of society is constituted of factors and relations. And if you can imagine, or if you can think on these concepts, both these concepts are materialistic or economic in terms, right? These are not social, not psychological, not political in nature. Factors of production, that means the tools, techniques, skills with which the production process goes on, and relations of production are the relations out of the involvement in the relation or the production process. As the production process in itself is economic and not political or psychological, production process is economic, right? And that's how, or the material, right? Or not economic, or to be more precisely, it is material thing. Production process is a material thing. And that's how the factors of productions and relations of production both are in material nature. According to Marx, therefore, the infrastructure of the society is material or materialistic, right? Are you getting me now? That's how the infrastructure in case of society is materialistic. Why it is materialistic? Because the production process, which involves factors and relations, both are in material nature, right? The materialistic conception of the infrastructure, it gives the nature of economic materialism or the materialistic nature to the foundation of society. And what is superstructure? Those structures and institutions are visible to our eyes, that is, let's say family, marriage, the government, the state, the politics, religion, are education, health institutions, all those institutions which are visible to our eyes, which lies above the ground, are nothing but they are the institutions of visibility, and that's how Marx treat them as superstructure. Okay, so superstructure मध्ये काय येणार? Superstructure मध्ये health, education, religion, the government, the state, politics, and all the other institutions. And according to Marx, the society has the foundation, materialistic foundation. Are you okay with it? Let's continue our discussion. Now we'll take the reference of all these concepts. The concept is economic infrastructure. Okay. Now, according to Marx, this structure of society, if this is society, the foundation is economic infrastructure. And the superstructure is called as the social superstructure. Are you getting me now? Social superstructure constitutes of all the institutions like politics, like religion, like education, like family and marriage, and many other social institutions which are part of social superstructure according to Marx. And this is economic infrastructure which constitute the production process, which constitute the factors and relations of production, which are at the core of the survival of the society and individual themselves. Now, let's proceed to our discussion. And the social superstructure and economic infrastructure together forms the complete nature of society. So what do we mean by society? Society is equal to, first of all, most importantly, economic infra plus social superstructure. Right? According to Marx, we are now discussing the exact theory of historical materialism. By the way, can you recall what we have already talked about historical materialism? What is its introductory definition? Historical materialism is nothing but the society progress. It is the conception of Marx about the evolution of societies. According to Marx, the societies evolve, progresses from one stage to another, right? In different stages. Societies progress from one stage to another in different, you can say, stages. But the progress or the evolution of societies has material or economic criteria. And that's how historical materialism is the idea, Marx's idea about the evolution of society from one stage to another based on material or economic conditions. Now how? Look at this now. Tell me, what is the most core of the activity or activities in the society? It is production. And what constitute production? Factors of production and relations of production. And factors of production, relations of production, or togetherly production process has material base. And as the production process is at the core of the society or at the foundation of society, and if this foundation changes, society will change. And how the foundation might change? The foundation might change with the change in the factors of production or relations of production. But Marx gave a technical idea on this change. According to Marx, throughout the history, with the progress of societies, the factors of production have changed. The factors of production have changed. I will write a symbol delta, that is a triangle delta, which will signify or symbolize a change. I won't write CHANG, change. Let's be very time, you can say, saving. According to Marx, the change in the factors of production, FOP, The change in factors of production, that is, I will write like this: the change in factors of production. The change in the factors of production is the social fact, is the historical conception. Okay, you can also imagine when we used to live our primitive lives, when we used to live in our hunting gathering societies, we used to have tools. Those are made up of either wood or stones. Then we moved from wooden or stone like tools to the metal like tools, or metal tools, or the tools which are made up from the metals like iron, copper and many things. Brass age, iron age. And then you can observe we moved towards a machine made production, factory made production. From like wood, stone to metal to factory production. And now we are producing with the most modern technology till the time, that is artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing. What is the fourth industrial revolution all about? It is about those things, right? You can, what I'm trying to establish the fact that throughout the history, we have observed a progressive development in the tools of production. We have observed progressive development in the skills of production. We have observed the progressive development in the, you can say, techniques of production. But production process has remained constant throughout the phases of our evolution. But what has changed? The tools have changed. The skills have changed. The techniques have changed. Getting me? And it is now established fact that throughout the history, we have observed change in the factors of production. Marx uses this fact or the established fact as a starting point of his theory on historical materialism. According to Marx, the factors of production have been changing throughout the history. And once the factors of production change, it leads to change in the relationships of production. Now look at this. I'm adding one more thing, right? That is change in the relationships of production. Earlier, the relationship was, let's say, for example, we are living in primitive societies or hunting gathering societies where our basic production process is hunting the animals, gathering their meal and meat and all, and survive on ourselves. That is the production process for the primitive societies. In that societies, also we had relations of production. A group used to go to hunt or find an animal, hunt that, cut it down in different pieces and get back that meat home to eat, right? Then we moved to an agricultural society where few laborers were used to produce, few owners of the land used to supervise them. Then we moved to, right, industrial production where a few owners of that factory will manage or own own that system or infra, and the laborers will work in that factories. And why these changes are happening? Because we are changing the factors of production. As the factors of production are changing, the relations are also changing. Earlier it was egalitarian relation. It changed to, let's say, serf and you can say the feud in feudalism. Feud who owned the land and serfs who you can say till that land worked in their fields. And now in capitalism, the relationship is haves and have-nots. The relationships are also changing, right? Why? Because the factors are changing. Exactly what Marx talks about it, like when the factors of production change, it leads to change in relationships of production. But what is underlying fact? Underlying fact is that there is the change in, of course, we are observing change in factors of production and relations of production, and that's how it is nothing but change in economic infrastructure. Can you observe it? Because what economic infrastructure constitutes, it constitutes relations and factors or the production process. And as the factors and relations both are changing, the whole production process is changing, and it is leading to change in economic infra. Okay, and that's how change in factors of production and relations of production are leading to change in economic infrastructure. Okay, and that is the change in nothing but the foundation of society. The very foundation of society is changing, and it will lead to change in society. This is the idea, or this is the motor of history according to Marx. Motor of history. How history progresses, how history goes on, how the belt of history continues to move. It continues to move because as the factors of production change, which is established fact, that is natural thing, right? The factors of production, the change in natural factors of production is a natural thing. It leads to change in the relations of production, and therefore it leads to change in the economic infrastructure, and that's how society changes. Are you getting me? Right? And the change in the society, what do you mean by society changes? Society changes, according to Marx, is nothing but a shift from one phase to another. Right? A shift from one phase to another. What is a change for Marx? A shift from one phase to another. Again, the new phase will get established. In that new phase, that will continue for, let's say, a couple of 100 years, right? In that phase, gradually, a new tools will start developing. New tools will start developing. And what will change when the factors of production change, or what is mean by the change in the tools? That is nothing but change in the factors of production. And what it triggers nothing but change in the relations. And that's how again the society will change from that stage to a new stage. And in that new stage, gradually new tools, techniques and skill will start developing. And with that development of the new skills, techniques and tools, the factors of production are changing. You're observing it. Because factors of production, the change in the factors of production is a naturalistic process. It goes on continuously in any stage. Okay, now we are talking about another new stage in which the factors of production are changing, that is leading to the change in the relationships of production. It will change the economic infrastructure, that is the very foundation of the society. And once the foundation of society gets changed, it leads to change in the society. That means society will just shift from that stage or that phase stage to another stage. And according to Marx, this change in the stages is nothing but the historical materialism. According to Marx, this society or the societies change from one stage to another. Why they change from one stage to another? Because their economic infrastructure changes. Why their economic infrastructure change? Because the factors of production and relations of production changes. Why do the relations of production change? Because the factors of production are changing. And why factors of production are changing? Because it is a natural process. Simple. Now we'll go again in the reverse direction. The change in the tools, skills and you can say techniques is a very natural process. When the tools and of the techniques and skills are changing, Marx term it as a change in the factors of production. And the change in the factors of production will lead to change in the relationships of production. The relationships of production together with the factors of production or changes in the factors of production is nothing but a change in the complete economic infra. Right? And the change in the economic infrastructure is nothing but change in the foundation of society, production process. This is social change. And what is social change according to Marx? Social change or change in the society is nothing but shifting of the society's one stage to another stage. According to Marx, throughout the history, societies have continuously been shifting their phases, their stages. And each stage in that Marx's idea of historical materialism is called as the mode of production. Each stage in that progression of society is called as the mode of production. Mode, a mode of production, a mode of production. Now, for example, currently we are in capitalism, where the factory-based production, industrial production dominates the production process. It is, of course, is termed as a capitalist mode of production. Are you getting me? What is a mode of production? A mode of production is the each and every stage through which the society has progressed. The mode of production according to Marx is combination of relation and factor. That we'll learn in the next topic, official topic in the syllabus, that is mode of production. We are going to learn in depth about this concept in the next phase. But just for the sake of introduction, a mode of production is nothing but each and every stage in the, you can say, the social progression. Getting me now? According to Marx, the current phase is going on. The phase is called as the capitalism phase, the capitalistic mode of production. But the capitalistic mode of production is not, or we were not in the capitalist mode of production since time immemorial. No, we are currently in the capitalism phase. Earlier, we were in feudalism phase. Earlier to that, we were in slave society. Earlier to that, we used to live in ancient communism. So, ancient communism, slave society, or ancient slave society. Third was feudalism, then capitalism. After capitalism, we will again move to or shift to the socialism. And after socialism, we will naturally shift to communism. Are you getting me what I am talking about? I am talking about Marx's idea about the development of capitalism, or currently why we are in this phase, why we are in capitalism phase. Because Marx tried to understand this in a form of, let's say, in a systematic manner, in technical manner. According to him, the very foundation of society, when it gets changed, the society changes. And throughout the history, the foundation of society has been economic. And the natural process of factors of production, the change in the factors of production triggers the change in the relations, and that's how the change in the mode of production. Now, if you want to write it in a systematic or formula manner, you can just imagine change in factors of production leads to change in relations of production. It leads to change in mode of production, MOP. I will write it as MOP. Do you agree with me? The change in the factors of production leads to change in ROP, leads to change in MOP. And what is MOP, or the mode of production? MOP or the mode of production is such, or each stage in the progression of the society. And according to Marx, there have been like 5-6 different stages that we are going to technically learn in the next syllabus topic, that is mode of production. But what is mode of production? By the way, what is historical materialism? So let's define the historical materialism. Historical materialism is nothing but a dialectical idea, a theory. What is dialecticism? Again, we are going to learn in the class conflict. The idea, historical materialism, is the idea or the curiosity or the answer to Marx's question about the current stage. Why we are in the current stage? Because we are here because we have been progressing throughout the history, and it ended up now in capitalism, or we ended up in capitalism. And that's how after capitalism, this is not the end, by the way. Capitalism is not the end, and we will naturally progress towards the, you can say, another mode, that is socialism and communism. And by the way, what will trigger this change? As earlier, just you can just recall the concept alienation and antagonistic cooperation. According to Marx, in capitalism, the workers are exploited at their, you can say, the most potential manner. The exploitation is at the peak, alienation is at the peak, and the antagonism is at the peak. Now the workers will start get uniting. The workers will start get uniting in a format of a class. A class solidarity will get, you can say, generated among the workers. The workers will join the hand and they will lead a struggle. They will revolt against their poor economic situation, against their exploitation, against or for their human rights, for their economic rights, for justice, equality, liberty. Because man, when started his journey in the history or the progression of the history, was based on egalitarian, or he was equal. According to Marx, the modes of production or the first mode of production is called as primitive communism. The very first mode of production is called as primitive communism, where the relationships of the production were equal. All were the equal owners of all the, you can say, the material, or what was that in that society, right? As the society was organized on the equal lines, our final goal is also equality, because man is naturally equal and it will struggle for equality. It will do anything to gain that stage. But in the last few phases, that equality got converted into exploitation, and it is now at the peak in the capitalism, and that's how the workers will unite. They will join their hands, they will lead a struggle, they will revolt, go for a revolution, and that's how they will overthrow the capitalism system. And with the overthrowing of the capitalist system, now the workers or the have and have not distinction will no longer remain. All the, you can say, material that is present, or you can say all things that are to be owned will be owned by everybody. The strive for equality, the strive for justice, the strive for human conditions will lead the workers for struggle, will lead the workers for class conflict, will lead the workers for going for a revolution, and it will establish the another stage in the history. It will lead to the another stage in the history that is called as socialism or communism. Communism, the stage in the history that will be the last phase in the development of the societies, where all men and of course women will be equal. There will be no haves, no have-nots, no ownership, no exploitation and anything. Everybody will contribute in the production process, and what is produced from the production process, everybody will have the equal ownership and right over the produce. And that's how historical materialism is Karl Marx's idea about the progression of the societies from one stage to another, from where the society started and to where it will end. Historical materialism is that idea of Karl Marx which gave the theoretical explanation, a systematic and scientific explanation about the progress of society. How society has progressed or has been progressing. and its technical explanation, this scientific systematic explanation is the theory called as historical materialism. Historical materialism is not just a theory or not just a theoretical explanation. You can imagine a sense of revolt in that theory, a sense of program for revolution, a trigger for revolution. We can't limit this explanation to just a technical explanation of the social change or technical explanation of the progress of society or the scientific explanation of the evolution of society. We can't limit this historical materialism idea to that only limited conception. It is actually a program for revolution. It is actually a program for revolt. It is actually a program for class struggle. It is a call for the workers. It is call for the laborer. It is call for the working class to join their hands, to raise their voice, to come together against the exploitation and organize themselves in the form of unions, organize themselves to go for a revolt and class struggle and change their material situations, change their life situations, life experience, and get common ownership on all the produce. And that's how it is a visionary idea given by Karl Marx. It is not just an explanation of the social evolution, it is also the progression or the call for a revolt, a proposal for a revolt, or you can say an urge for a revolt and unite, or what Marx called as a unite, the workers of the world unite. And that's how historical materialism was a revolutionary idea in itself. It inspired many labor unions at that time. The workers joined their hand and they go for, or they went for a Russian revolution and many other revolutions in the developing and third world countries. You can just observe throughout the world history. We observe various, you can say, freedom fights, freedom movements during decolonization phase, which were inspired by the historical materialism concept. And that's how historical materialism concept was very revolutionary idea, a systematic manner in which Marx studied the progression of society. He studied the progression of society in a scientific manner. At the same time, he gave the idea or the call for unity, call for struggle, call for protests, call for change. And that change, that won't happen naturally. The workers will be responsible for that change, and the workers had to change their own material conditions. And that's how the historical materialism concept has significance in its idea that it was so significant that it first of all explained the society or the progress or what society is in a very systematic scientific manner. At the same time, it led to the change. A revolutionary idea in itself, right? At the same time, we must see the other side of the historical materialism. Was it in its complete sense? Was it a complete idea? Was it complete explanation of social change? Let's talk it about in terms of critic. Okay, so how social critic talk about it? Critic to historical materialism. According to Karl Popper, Marx is being economically deterministic in his idea of historical materialism. First of all, we'll discuss about what is economic determinism. Because, by the way, economic determinism is nothing but being or reducing each and every idea to materialism or economy. According to Marx, everything that happens in society, everything that goes on in society has material basis, economic basis, be it foundation or superstructure. Even according to Marx, the superstructure, that is social superstructure, has economic foundation. All the institutions, marriage, family, education, the state, the politics, they are based on the economic foundation, material foundation, right? And that's how he limits himself, Marx limits himself by reducing his ideas to materialism only. Is it really so that all the conditions, all that happens in society has only economic or material foundation? Or it can be beyond materialism or economy? And that's how Marx ignores few social concepts, few political concepts, few emotional, psychological concepts, few, let's say for example, individualistic ideas. And Marx reduced everything, or you can say in historical materialism, which is the progression of society, according to Marx, it has only economic foundation, but no. According to Karl Popper, Marx is being economically deterministic in that situation, and he is limiting his ideas about the society's evolution. The society has not evolved based only on economic situation. There are n number of other possible factors. Those are responsible for the progression of society or evolution of society. Those factors are beyond economic or material conditions. Those can be social, political, psychological, historical, individualistic, and many other. And that's how, according to Karl Popper, the first and most important critique on the idea of historical materialism is the idea is economically deterministic. Okay, this critique was by Karl Popper, being economically deterministic. Okay. Second most important was from the non-positivism side. By the way, till now you know that Marx belonged to the positivistic school in sociology. In positivism, we have two sub-schools, that is functionalism and conflict perspective. And Marx belongs to the conflict perspective. And conflict perspective is part of positivism, which use scientific methods to study society. And they gave a scientific generalization, scientific explanation of the society, just like Marx did in historical materialism. But the main criticism from the non-positivism side is that you are ignoring the micro aspects of society. You are ignoring the individual actions. You are ignoring the individual cases. You are ignoring the small aspect of society which might have been responsible for the change in the society. Okay, and that's how non-positivism accused yes, of course, Marx in his idea of historical materialism being macro in conception. And how can you study the change in society in materialistic or scientific manner? So, non-positivism talks about going for certain micro aspects of the society, studying individual action, interpreting them, interpreting the meanings, motives, and values behind the social actions which led to the change in the society from one stage to another. And that is the explanation, you can say, that the criticism non-positivism gives on the idea of historical materialism by Marx. Are you getting me? The first and most important is about Marx being economic determinism. That is the main accusation on Marx, economic determinism. And the second accusation is being a macro, M-A-C-R-O. The idea suggested by non-positivism is micro. And you know what is macro? Macro, we referred it in the chapter 2 itself. Positivism, non-positivism, theoretical strands and all. Are you getting me? But beyond that, yes, of course, these criticisms are relevant, significant. But can you imagine the idea of historical materialism, how significant and revolutionary it was? It not only gave the conceptual understanding of social evolution or the evolution of society, it also gave motivation, inspiration for the worker or those who are getting exploited to fight for their own rights. And that's how it gave the broad idea, or not broad, I can say a very bold idea, by the way. The historical materialism in itself was a bold idea that not only explained society, it also paved the way for its change. Okay? And on that note, I would like to conclude this session. I hope you are good with historical materialism. And in the next phase or next topic or the next session, we are going to start with a new idea, mode of production. Okay? Till then, I thank you very much. We'll meet soon.
Nandip Academy, India's top coaching institution for civil services preparation. Join us online to get most enriching experience from best faculty with excellent notes and specially designed courses. To join the batch, download Nandip Academy app from Google Play Store. For more information, contact 9511 280 465.